Welcome back to our channel, and welcome back to Belle, our pirate of Tortuga, or young lady pirate. As you can see, we've got some red oxide on her, and she's coming out pretty good. I'm happy with it. Now this is the second spraying of the red oxide. The first one was to see where I needed to do some touching up, and I had a lot to do. That's one thing great about primer. It'll show you all your mistakes in a hurry, and it showed me all mine. What I did is I fixed all those mistakes, not with the glazing putty, with the Vallejo plastic putty, because most of them were around the belt, which I figured, and around the boot cuffs, again, which I figured. And this, I was able to get in there and with a wet paintbrush fill it in and get everything smoothed out and taken care of. So and then there were a couple blemishes that the primer didn't take care of. I wanted to fill in with the plastic putty, and yeah, I think it's looking pretty good. Let's see if I can turn her around without knocking her over. Let's try this. Oop. Oop. There we go. You can see the back side of her. So yeah, she's looking pretty good. I'm happy with it. Not perfect. I still see some little bit of a couple flaws, but I think once we get that craft acrylic on there, the paint, because you know that pigment's pretty thick, it'll also act like a filler, and some of those flaws I believe the paint will take care of. So all in all, I'm happy with it. Not too shabby. I'm liking it. So that's that. And because we're going to have to handle the lower half here an awful lot to do all these drilling of holes, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait a couple days. I just sprayed this today, and primer is no different than paint. Primer needs time to cure, and I'm afraid if I start handling this too much, the heat from my hand is going to soften the paint up, and then next thing you know, you end up with fingerprints everywhere embedded into the paint. So I'm going to let this sit a couple days, let it cure up, let it get good and hard, and then we're going to go back and start doing our drilling of holes. So we have our pins ready, we have our circuit board bits here ready for our pin vise. We'll be drilling holes into her legs, get that taken care of. In the meantime, I figured, well, you know, if I have to let this sit for a couple days, might as well move on to something else. So we're going to work on her plaque, her base here. It came in the mail. I got 2 of these from Hobby Lobby online. So we're going to sand it, you know, get it all spiffy. Then we'll stain it. Then we'll clear it with some polyacrylic. I got my paint in. This I thought it was called liquid gold. It's called liquid leaf. That we're going to be using on the coins, because there's a lot of coins on that treasure chest. So we're going to try this paint out, see what happens. If it looks good, we'll use it. If it looks like crap, I got plenty. I have plenty of Vallejo model there and the model color in gold. So it's. I thought I'd get it because I just wanted to try out and see if it was any good. So we'll try this, see what happens. So we got that. All right, there we go. Okay, so we need some sandpaper, right? And obviously we need sandpaper for wood. So we're going to knock over my camera so we can break it up. And I can spend another $50 to $100 replacing it, because that wouldn't be my life if that didn't happen. So we'll take a little bit of this sandpaper here. This is 120 sandpaper for wood, and we're just gonna go over here, open up the pores, get it cleaned up. airbrush, because our airbrush makes a great little air blower. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to set up, I'm going to put a pad down that I use for painting. They're just dog pads. And I'm going to put a dog pad down, then we'll put this on the dog pad, and then we'll, I have a whole bunch of foam brushes that I buy. Whenever I see them, I always get them, because they're so cheap, and all I got to do is when I'm done with them, just chuck them in the trash can. We'll just use one of these, stain it, we'll shake this up, stain it, and let that sit for a bit, and then we'll hit it with a clear polyacrylic, and I think it'll be looking pretty spiffy. We're back and we've got one coat of this stain on here that's really American by Varathane, which is actually made by Rust-Oleum. We put our one coat on, we wiped it off with a paper towel, and this is where we're at. I'm getting ready to put a second coat on, because I want the stain a little darker. Of course, the more you do this, the more you put it on, wipe it off, put it on, wipe it off, the darker it'll get. So you can kind of adjust the tone of your stain by just repeating the process of putting it on and wiping it off. So I want mine a little darker, so we're going to put another coat on here. And again, we'll wipe it off, we'll see where we're at. If it's not, so where I want it, then that'll be it. If it's not, then we'll do it again until we get where we need to be. Pretty simple. And I should do a little better job sanding over here, kind of screwed up, but it don't have to be perfect. It's not like it's going in a museum. It's just going on my shelf, and from my shelf it will be good enough. Alright, so there's our second coat. I'll leave that sit for a minute. And then we'll take our paper towel and just wipe it off. And then once we're happy with the tone, then we'll hit our polyacrylic on it and seal it up and get it nice and shiny. And then we'll set it aside until we're ready for it. Pretty simple. And we are back. Let me adjust my camera here real quick. There we go. Alright, we got her clear on it. I wasn't going to use my polyacrylic, but I threw the can away because it's like a really old can. The last time I used it, I had trouble with it. And I did a couple test sprays on a cardboard box. And again, I was having trouble with the nozzle. I cleaned it, I ran underneath hot water, tried everything I could. I think the can has just had it because of its age. So I tossed it, and I do have a can of this. It's just min-wax polyurethane. But it's not gloss, it's semi-gloss. So I thought, well, we'll make it a semi-gloss. I wanted a glossy, but I guess that ain't going to happen. I don't feel like running to the store because A, I don't have any money, and B, I just don't feel like running to the store. So we'll just go with the semi-gloss. So we have a nice semi-gloss sheen going on it, and then we'll put this on it. I don't think is it dry? Yeah, it's somewhat dry. Then this will go right on top of it. I think it's dry enough for me to put this on top. And this base is real close. We'll do a little trimming on the base. But most of this is getting, as you can see, is getting covered up by the resin base. So it'll work out just fine. There we go. So you can kind of see that. And what I'll do is I'll take my, I think a drum sander is what I'll probably do on my cordless. I'll just zip a little off here. I'll draw a pencil mark, zip a little off here. Zip a little off here. The back's okay. I can just leave it as it is. And we'll just tighten it up a little bit, and I think it'll be just fine. Alright guys, that's it. Take care. We'll see you.